Hi everyone, how's it going? So I'm gonna be going to London for the next couple of days because my mum is back in hospital again. Um I know it's difficult to believe, but my mum's actually been in and out of hospital I mean, the last time she was in hospital was 6 days after after this time of her being admitted. It was a 6 day period between her being, at her last day and this current state that she's at right now. So I'm going down to London. I'm gonna see at least one of my siblings down there to find out what's been going on with mum and why she's in hospital so many times. The truth of the matter is that I already know what's going on, because the thing is that again, the same pain, the same debilitating pain that I've been subjected to, my mum's been subjected to. So it doesn't take a genius to work out exactly what's going on. She's been attacked with these same electronic weapons, and that's why she keeps getting the pain. The problem that I'm having is telling my siblings this, because I've tried to talk to my family about gang stalking. Of course, they don't want to believe me because they're human. Human beings have a really bad habit of sticking their heads in the sand when they don't want to hear something. So I've tried to tell my family about my own gang stalking in the hopes that they would care, but truth be told, I don't think anybody in my family particularly likes me anyway. So of course, when they heard about all that stuff, of course they wouldn't really fight for me like that. Why would they? But it's just that where it gets awkward is that because they don't believe what's happening with me, the likelihood is that they're not going to believe what's happening with mum, because if they can't even get their minds around the fact that I've been attacked with electronic weapons since my late 20s, not even since my late 20s, since my early 20s. My early 20s is when I found out about gang stalking. If they're not even willing to believe that I've been attacked with electronic weapons since my early 20s, which is when I found out about the gang stalking, then what would make them believe that I've been attacked with electronic weapons my entire life? And then what would make them believe that not only have I been attacked with electronic weapons my entire life, but that this shit is intergenerational? I've been having dreams about this exact form of targeting. I'm gonna be real with you, okay? I'm 37 years old. I'm gonna be 38 this year. I've had dreams about this since I was 14 years old, maybe even earlier than that, but I could never make sense of them. There was one dream that I had where I saw my mum's name with her maiden name on a list and my own name beneath it. Her name was in orange highlighter and my name was in pink highlighter. I personally believe that when it comes to this program, both my mum and myself were put on a list. And again, this is just conjecture at this point, because the only proof for targeting that I have is proof of my own targeting. I don't have proof of mum's targeting. I know what my mum's been through, but I don't have proof of her targeting either. It's just my own targeting that I have circumstantial evidence on. And even then, that's because I put that in place and I made sure that if I spoke about Havana syndrome, that their responses to that would be recorded. So I have circumstantial evidence of my own targeting and the lies that have been surrounding my injuries. I made sure of that. Okay. But when it comes to my mum has sickle cell already. That gives a perfect cover for anybody wanting to experiment with electronic weaponry to cause her pain and then call that a sickle cell crisis. It's the perfect thing for any person attacking my mom with electronic weapons. It's the perfect thing for them to hide behind, because at the end of the day, sickle cell anemia is one of those disorders where a lot of people have died from that disorder for less than what my mum has gone through. Okay, there are so many, that there are at least two people that I knew with sickle cell that I had grown up with that have passed away. A lot of people with sickle cell have passed on. Okay? So even though my mum's had multiple strokes, and I mean multiple, okay, even though she's had multiple strokes, there are people who have sickle cell who have been in a healthier position than her. They didn't even last that long. And that's the truth, because with sickle cell anemia, if not, it's a disorder where not enough oxygen is getting to your blood cells. And if not enough oxygen is getting to your blood cells, it's going to cause all kinds of problems with your internal organs. Okay? So with sickle cell being as bad as it is already, it's going to be very easy for somebody with electronic weapons to conceal their attacks and their torture behind my mum's illness. And on top of that, if she's physically brutalized, then I shouldn't even bring that up. But if anything happens to her physically, then, you know, it could easily be blamed on her frailty or something happening by accident. But the truth of the matter is that my mum's been a target for a long time. I don't think she knew, but I think she knew that something wasn't right. I think she knew. At the end of the day, a lot of weird shit has been happening surrounding my family for a long time. And a lot of people have been interested in burying it. Because when you're part of it, like I said, I love my family. I love my family. I do love my family. But I do not like a lot of them. I do not like a lot of them because they've turned a blind eye to a lot of horrible things that have taken place just amongst ourselves, let alone what the rest of the world has done to us. So no, I don't like us. I love us. It's true. I don't like us. I really don't. Because we've been in a position where we've allowed stuff like what's been happening to my mum to happen to her. I've been trying to warn everyone of what's going on and nobody's listening. And it's getting to a point now where the only life my mum has ever known is where she gets what she wants when it comes to something small. But when it comes to something big, nobody listens to her. And it's led to a situation now where, you know, she can't do anything for herself. She can't even hold like a phone. She wants to hold her phone up. There was a time where I was with my mum on FaceTime and she wanted to hold her phone up to talk to me. She can't even hold a phone up. That's how bad it is. And I was in denial for a long time as she was slowly deteriorating. She's literally being murdered right in front of my eyes. She's literally being murdered right in front of my eyes. And what the fuck have I done about it? Truth be told, I think the same thing has happened to a lot of members of my family. Well, not a lot, but certain members of my family. But all I've done is talk, and I've tried to get more powerful people than me to take notice. But they're not going to do that. They're not going to risk their social credit to listen to me. So, yeah, my mum's being murdered right in front of my fucking face. But at least I get to see her. At least I get to go down to London and see her. It's better than nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going down to London tomorrow, staying with my dad. My dad's another one who has been hit really hard because the same neighbours that have been staying with him, I think they've been firing electronic weapons as well, like using that little app to fire electronic weapons on me. Not just me, but my dad as well. I've mentioned this before and I mentioned their names as well, but that's for another conversation. So, you know, yeah, they're murdering my mum right in front of my face and I can't say anything. They're murdering both my parents right in front of me. I'm the only one in the family who seems to know exactly what's going on or who seems to want to do something about it. And nobody's listening. So now I've got to go down to London tomorrow and I've got to hear everybody skirt around the fucking grey elephant in the room. There's a big ass grey elephant in the room and I got to watch everybody skirt past it. And I got to stay quiet because nobody's going to listen to me about the electronic weaponry, either because they're scared of what's going to happen if they don't comply, or it could be that some of my family members are benefiting from the shit and they don't want to risk anything. Like I said, I love my family. I really do. That there is no way I'd be taking my fucking ass down to London for 2 days if I didn't. There is just absolutely no way. And I certainly wouldn't be going down to, to hospital to see my mum if I didn't love my family. But we are just not good people. Good people don't allow this. They do not allow this. And as for the neighbors that are basically engaging in this fucking trafficking, do they feel ashamed of themselves? No. The only time when they're going to care is when the same people that they've been working for, the same people that they have been, damaging our organs for, the only time when they're going to care is when they realize the same people whose orders they've been obeying, they're going to fuck them over next. That's the only time when they're going to care. They have no conscience about this shit. None. No. They have no conscience about this shit. And however much they hate themselves, they don't hate themselves enough. They don't hate themselves enough. They have contributed to a lot of bullshit. Every single thing that's happened, people in our community, in the black community, have been dropping like flies out here. It's not just a case of systemic racism, even though systemic racism definitely plays a part in it. But systemic racism is part of the reason why our injuries from electronic torture are not being treated as seriously as well. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, because if we were white, right, we'd have social services up our ass and we'd have mental health up our ass. So it's a double-edged sword. The fact that I'm black and the fact that I'm from an Afro-Caribbean community, it means that mental health are not going to be as diligent with me as they are with other races of people. That's a double-edged sword, because it means that I have more freedom. It means that I have more freedom to do what I need to do, because nobody's looking at me. Nobody's looking at me. And on top of that, the fact that I'm so articulate and argumentative and I don't back down without a fight, that's another reason why they won't engage me. The third reason is that I record everything. So they can't get away with lying in front of me. They can't get away with it. So it's a double-edged sword. So you've got with mental health, right? I understand that there are a lot of black people who are also more likely to be medicated than white people, but when I think about the amount of times I had actually damaged myself and hurt myself and mental health had done nothing, it made me realize that even though I would have been in a lot of danger, it also made me realize that I had more freedom than other white people who have been in that same situation. Do you understand what I mean? That if I was white, they would be up my ass. I'm telling you, because again, it's a symptom of systemic racism. Sometimes white privilege is a double-edged sword. But the downside to being black and being brown is that when it comes to physical ailments, you are more likely to be neglected. And like I said before, another downside to being black in the mental health, in mental health, is that they're more likely to try to force medications down you rather than actually treat you. So as much as I do talk about having more freedom in terms of people not being up my arse all the time and people not asking me questions, there's a downside to that, because it means as a black person, and I've witnessed this in my family, there are many people in our community who have died from easily treatable illnesses. Again, if you need any proof of how much we can be neglected as a people, people can see on CCTV at Brighton Hospital exactly how I was treated when I couldn't fucking walk and I was electronically tortured in my hips, pelvis and back. They can see on CCTV exactly how I was treated. I was allowed to lay there in my own blood because I had my period as well. I was allowed to lay there in my own blood for hours. Nobody came to my aid apart from 2 nurses, right? And when I wanted to go to the toilet, I had to crawl to go to the toilet. Nobody would help me. There were at least 2 nurses there who saw me crawling and said, just leave her there. Have you ever heard of that? That's the kind of neglect that black people are subjected to, even when they're not targets. So you can imagine, right? As a black person being a targeted individual, you can imagine the neglect that goes into that. It's the easiest murder ever committed. Black TI, as a black person being a TI, is literally the easiest murder ever committed, with brown TIs being just a step behind that. Now, Catherine Horton said there were more black TIs than anyone else, and I'm inclined to believe it because of the systemic oppression part of it. But the truth of the matter is that whether it's easiest to hide behind, we are the easiest people to target. We're the easiest people to target. Because not only do we have to deal with systemic racism literally killing us, and that's just when we're not TIs, remember. We also have to deal with our own ignorance when it comes to ableist behavior. So we got to deal with that, and we got to deal with, it's a fucking mess, bruh. It's a mess. And that type of neglect is what my mum has to deal with. It's what I've had to deal with. It's what my dad's had to deal with. Electronic weaponry is the easiest thing. Electronic torture is so easy to hide behind when it comes to black people. And it's the same with, how do I say this creatively? It's the same with widget fidget. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know. Widget fidget. Okay? It's the same thing with widget fidget. Widget fidget causes radiation problems. So you've got widget fidget on top of fucking electronic torture, on top of systemic racism. My mom's had 7 strokes and she's been in and out of hospital. There are times where she's been, you know, this is the sad part that I'm about to tell you now. My dad told me this, right? After I was born, my mom had 1 day with me. 1 day before she had to go back into hospital. I never knew that. I don't know if she was targeted then. Because I've been targeted all my life, I'm inclined to think that she was targeted long before I was born. I don't know if that was as a result of the targeting, but I personally think it was. So she gave birth to me, came home, and then she only spent a day with me before she had to go back. I don't know how long she was in the hospital for, but it was just me and my dad and my brother. So I think my mum was attacked then when she was young. Like I said, with the government, it's not just a short-term thing. When it comes to vindictiveness, you're dealing with a big machine that has plenty of time and plenty of resources to be vindictive for fucking decades over the smallest shit. So I personally believe my mum was attacked after I was born. But again, I can't prove this. But I know that some of the same stuff that she went through, she used to go through this thing where she couldn't keep her eyes open. And she used to think that was something to do with the occult, but I personally think that's something to do with the radiation and having light sensitivity and the electronic weaponry. I've had debilitating pain like she has. I've had the eye thing like she has. I don't have sickle cell in the same way that she has. How am I getting the same type of pain that she's getting and I don't have the same disease as her? Something ain't clean in a buttermilk. Something isn't clean in the buttermilk. How the fuck am I getting the same injuries as my mum, getting the same type of pain as my mum, to the point where like I'm screaming and fucking yelling in pain? How am I getting the same thing that she's getting and I don't have the same disease as she does and I don't have the same illness? How is that even remotely possible? How is that even remotely possible? So I don't know what to do. I honestly don't know what to do. But I know that in our community, in the Black community, even just without being TIs, there are plenty of us dying of illnesses, you know, that could have been easily treated, in some cases treated on time. And that's just without the targeting. With the targeting, you can imagine how much worse it gets. And my mum knew that once I was in the system, then there was no really getting me out of it. And once there's no getting you out of the system, you're not really free. You're just part of a glorified trafficking ring. And again, that's just without the targeting, let alone with the targeting. But then again, my mum was self-destructive, you know, which is what happens when you're a victim of targeting and you don't know you're a victim of targeting. You think it's all your fault. You think everything's your fault, so you act accordingly. You act a fool because you think that everything that's happening to you is your fault. So many people can't be wrong. It must be you. The tragedy with my mother is that she never realized that, like, there are certain things that she was right about. And she handled them in the wrong way because she literally had nobody to validate her. Except for now that what? She can understand every single word that I'm saying, but it's not like she can affirm that. It's not like she can say anything. The woman's had 7 strokes. It's not like she can say anything. It's not like she can say shit. So I'm going to see her tomorrow. No, correction. I'm going to see my dad tomorrow. And then I'm just going to see my mum on Tuesday. Spend 2 days in London. I might even stay there longer. I don't know. I don't know, honestly. The only thing I know is that I got to be back in time for Black Brighton Market. I hope I'm still able to do that. I'm not sure though. But yeah. Another thing that kind of upsets me is the timing of mum being in hospital as well. It's the timing as well. I could be being way too sort of self-involved about this. I could be inserting myself a little bit too much. But it just seems like whenever the gang stalkers want me out of the house, they attack my mum so that I have to come out of the house to visit her. And I know it sounds ridiculous and I know it sounds petty, but they're not above that. They're not above doing something like that. Yeah. I don't like us. I love us. I do love us with my whole heart, but I do not like us. We have fucked up in so many different ways. Some of us more than others, yes. But really engaged in some fucked up behavior. I love us. I love us. I love us. I do not like us. We're not good people. Good people don't allow this. Good people do not allow this. When it comes to my mum and I didn't have the greatest relationship. She could be abusive. She could be extremely abusive. There are times where she could be really kind, but because she was self-destructive, she had abusive ways as well. And at the time where I should have sought my freedom, when she could still walk, when she could still talk, when she could still do things. I chose to have my freedom at the age of 34, and although I swear to God, I feel like I should have done this earlier, it was literally the best thing I ever did. It came at the cost of being able to say goodbye to my grandmother. And it came at the cost of me being able to be there for the only other person who really knows what's going on. And is surrounded by people who are more invested in covering the shit up than actually doing something about it. Like I said, I love my family, but I don't like us. I don't like us. But I'm going to go and see them tomorrow anyway. And we'll see how this thing turns out. But if you can all pray for my mum to find peace, whichever way it comes, I'm okay with that. As long as she can find peace and happiness and some measure of joy in this entire fucked up, whatever the fuck this is. If you can pray for her, if you can like find it in your heart to pray for her, to get your prayers up for my mum, I'd really appreciate that. She needs that right now. She needs it. She needs it. I love her with my whole heart. Again, we've had our problems, and like again, I mean, our family's not good people. My family are not good people. But I love her with my whole heart, and I want her to get better. And I know I shouldn't ask this, but please just pray for her. That's all I'm asking. Anyway, I didn't think I'd be bearing my soul today, but yeah. I've been focusing on petty shit, you know. I didn't want the perps to win, but, you know, what the fuck are they winning? Really? They ain't winning shit. They're contributing to literally systemic genocide. That's killing off people left and right. Like what are they winning? What, me being upset? What? Okay, what? That's worth genocide? The fuck? I think there's something else that I need to say. I'm just trying to trying to think. You know, when you get into that age where you like trying to remember shit and it's just not coming. It's not coming. Yeah, I love my mum, regardless. And we'll see what happens with her. It might be, I don't want to say too much, but it might be that we might have to discuss what happens with her care and stuff. And, you know, I don't want to go into too much detail, but yeah. Hopefully, I will see you guys at Black Brighton Market. Fortunately, with my mum, where my mum is concerned, I can't believe I'm fucking promoting my... Oh, fuck's sake. Truth be told, the only reason I'm doing Black Brighton Market still is because when it came to my tarot readings, my mum was the main one who was always saying, oh, where are your cards? Where are your cards? Give us a reading. She was the main one, you know, who was behind my tarot readings. And also my mum was the main one who, when it came to gang stalking, she was 100% behind me. And I mean 100 fucking percent behind me. I don't know what she told the rest of the family, but the thing is that before she even knew gang stalking was a thing, she was already talking about the dangers of radiation. She was already talking about the red tape with regards to nutrition. There were lots of stuff that she was already talking about, and she was already trying to get out to the masses long before, like, I even started talking about the gang stalking stuff. So I don't know what she told everyone else, but from what I could see, she 100% believed me, and she was the only one who did. She was the only one who was willing to accept the reality of the situation, and now look, she's paying for it. But then again, when you don't accept things the way they are, you pay for it anyway. Just ask the rest of my family. But yeah, this intergenerational, this genocide has been going on for a long, long time. And like I said before, it's not just black people that are TIs. It's not just black people that are TIs. People are chosen in accordance with how much of a threat they can be to the established order. There are millions of us out there. All different races, genders, sexualities, backgrounds, cultures. There are millions of us out there, and we're selected because it's believed that we're a threat to the status quo. Okay? Millions of us. But the truth of the matter is that black TIs are we're easier to kill because our voices are not as loud in the community. Not, in the TI community, every single time we talk about systemic racism, there's always an attempt to shut us down. Black TIs in the community, we're always met with a brick wall. No, not always. There are some people who do listen, but and don't even get me started on queer TIs. Like, boy, I could go into a whole fucking other video about that. But black TIs are literally the easiest people to torture to death. It's been proven over and over again because we've already been demonized in the eyes of the public and we've already been diminished. It's easy for everyone else not to listen to us. Hell, it's easy for us not to listen to us. Especially when we're sick. And I was sick for a long time, and because I was sick, no one listened to me. And people didn't consciously choose to be racist. They didn't consciously choose to ignore me because I was a black woman, but we can't act like that wasn't a factor. It wasn't a conscious choice, it was an unconscious one. But because I was sick, my own community didn't listen to me. Because I was black, other communities didn't listen to me. So it was a double-edged sword. And being a woman, fucking forget it. You know there are people who ain't going to listen to you. You know what I mean? And that's not just with right-wing people too. Let's be absolutely real about the situation. It's this fucking bipartisan political crap that, oh, thank you, Laura. It's this fucking bipartisan political crap that's kind of, making people lose sight of what's fucking important. Widget fidget is literally killing people. It's got cancer causing frequencies. Widget fidget is literally causing illnesses all across the board. Nobody's paying attention. It's literally killing wildlife to the point where we're having extinction level events. Nobody's paying attention. And then on top of that, we've got electronic weapons being experimented on with regards to the public. Okay. Thank you, darling. And we've got electronic weapons being used on the public. Nobody's paying attention. And these people with the Vanna syndrome are being treated like nut jobs on the one hand. And then on the other hand, racism and systemic genocide are not being treated as a thing, despite the fact we live in a strongly hierarchical society. So people on all sides are being assholes and dickheads. And the only time when they're going to pay attention is 50 years later, when it's too late and it doesn't mean anything to say anything. That's the way it always happens. We literally have the whole world on our phones. And we can't use it to figure out that the same hierarchy that we're living under is the same one that's been killing us all this time with newer and better weaponry. What is wrong with us? What the fuck is wrong with us? I want to say that it's solely racism, as with regards to us being killed off, right? I want to say that it's solely racism, but no, we can't say it's solely racism. The whole of humanity has elected to choose their own comfort over the fucking truth. And that's why history keeps repeating itself with better technology. People on the side who are saying all lives matter, they were fucking warned from the get-go that this was a hierarchical society, and that if you didn't do something about racism, then you'd be next. You were warned. The all lives matter crowd, you were warned. The people who are fucking on the side of the so-called left, you were fucking warned. You were warned that with everything that we have been through systemically, there were going to be newer and better forms of technology coming in to take the place of what they used before. You were fucking warned. And you refused to listen. Oh, they're just crackpots. What about climate change? Where the fuck do you think climate change comes from? They've been experimenting with static electricity and weather changes for decades now. This is not new. Everything that you're calling a fucking conspiracy theory is not fucking new. You have the whole world on your fucking phone. You can do enough research to find out what suits your fucking argument, but you can't do enough research to find out whether something's true or not. No, it's just your argument that matters. Oh, it's car emissions in the air, and that's what they were talking about that shit 5 to 6 decades ago. What the fuck are you talking about? You are 5 decades behind on the shit. We have moved on to widget fidget. We've got extinction level events due to the radiation, and that's just without the targeting. That's just without the Zertsitsong shit. History is repeating itself because people don't learn their fucking lesson. This isn't about coming together. This isn't about coming together, holding hands and hugging each other. It's about taking your head out of your ass and giving a shit. It's about taking your head out of your backside and giving a damn. But what's happening? My mum's not dying, but she's not getting better. I don't think there's anything worse than that. Because if she was on an accelerated program, then at least it would be like, there'd be an end to her pain soon. But unfortunately, mum's too strong for that. She's way too strong for that. And she loves her kids way too much to go anywhere. So for now, she's stuck in an existence where she's got cunts literally murdering her or literally torturing her to death. But, and she can't do anything for herself, which is probably her worst nightmare. And the only reason she's even bothering to stay alive is because of her kids. That is the type of shit that we have collectively brought upon millions of people around the world. That is the kind of fate that we have literally visited upon them because we couldn't get our heads out of our fucking asses for 5 seconds. I want to thank you all for being here and supporting me. I'm sure if I come off the live, then there's going to be something that I've forgotten. Because my brain is like, don't go off live yet. Don't go off live yet. I don't know what my brain wants me to say. I don't know what my brain wants me to say at this point. I think I've said a lot. But yeah, it's a whole mess. It's a mess. It's been a mess. I don't even think I explained myself well, but the whole thing has been a mess from the beginning. Yeah, my mum's not dying though. She's not on an accelerated program as far as I know. She's just in a lot of pain and she just hasn't been doing well. So, I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm going to go to London and find out. I want to thank everybody for coming in and listening to me rant and consoling me and offering me your condolences and offering me your support. It's been really invaluable. And I really thank you guys for coming in and just, you know, offering me some words of comfort. I will certainly keep my head up, Laura. Thank you. And you're beautiful too. So I'm gonna head off. But once again, thank you guys for being with me. And I think when I'll do the next live, I'll probably be in London. I'm not sure though. And I am gonna do Black Brighton Market. It will make me feel better, I can't lie. But it's for mum too, because she will want me to. So I love you guys so much. Peace and blessings. Take care. Bye bye.